Let's clap this motherfucker. So Nick walks in today and he sounds sick. So get the fuck away from me. I don't want to get a sickness. And he's like, no, I'm not sick. I ate some really hot dumplings. He actually said I burnt my throat. I was like, wow, hot dicks down the mouth. Interesting. And he goes, no, I ate some hot dumplings. And in his gigantic brain went, no, swallow, don't spit it out. And that's obviously quite telling, based on his extracurricular activities. But yeah, anyway, fuck me. Moving house is an absolute punish. Also, whilst many other things are going on at the same time, setting up different matches and getting back into training after coming back from a horrendous staph infection where it looked like I had a bullet hole in several places on my body. Fucking thanks, Thailand, and people that were at that Thailand camp who decided to share their bacteria with me. Well, I was rolling with a guy and he said his band-aid fell off on the floor. I didn't check everybody because I just had a foolishly, I had an estimation that people wouldn't be just completely disgusting. His band-aid fell off halfway through a roll. He goes, oh, I'll stop rolling with you now. And I'm like, why? He's like, oh, my band-aid fell off. And I was like, what the fuck was that covering? Turns his arm over, huge staph infection. And I was like, that's not how staph works, actually. Thanks for that, cunt. But anyway, yeah, take care of yourself. If you do, actually, I've been doing a lot of research into this. If you are unfortunate enough to get Staphylococcus aureus, I've been doing a lot of research. I know all the terminology now. There is a point that I wasn't paying enough attention to that allows for reinfection. Now, typically, MRSA is the one that lives in your nose, as far as I'm aware. And so you don't really have to worry too much about putting the antibiotic ointment in the nose if it's not MRSA. It's probably still a good idea to do so. But the decolonization actually happens in your gut microbiome first. And the reason why this is important to recognize is because antibiotics fucking trash your gut microbiome. They do all sorts of things to destroy the flora, and they do all sorts of things to unbalance the pH. And so it's a really good idea to immediately jump on probiotics. I'll get to that in a second. But also apple cider vinegar, so you can increase the stomach acid. And this is often a common misconception that people hold, that when they get acid reflux, they have too much acid in their stomach, which is fundamentally incorrect. It's actually a lack of acid. The stomach does not have an ability to digest the food that you are currently eating because of the lack of stomach acid that's in there. So you get that burbling up effect, and it's quite uncomfortable. So you actually need to increase the acid, not decrease the acid. And I forget what medication that is that stops the acid reflux, but it makes the problem worse because it lowers the acid again, and you actually need more. So anyway, the probiotic strain that I've happened upon is called Bacillus, it's BS something, and then the actual brand name of it is MB40. And MB40 has shown in research to nullify the colonization of staph within inside your stomach up to 95%. And that's pretty good. So if you ever are struggling with continual reinfection, that's probably why. I was reinfected in multiple different spots that didn't make any sense comparative to where my original infections were. So obviously if you're rubbing it on a piece of skin that doesn't have staph, yes, that is one way, via contact. Typically, there's staph that lives on your skin all day, every day, and then there's a graze that happens or a scratch that occurs. That's why we cut our fingernails in jiu-jitsu. And then that is the thing that's the opening or the entryway for a reinfection. And I didn't have any cuts or scrapes on my skin, so it didn't make sense to me. And then so I've done the research and recognized that it was actually the thing that was living within my body that I couldn't get rid of because of stomach acid and antibiotic use and blah, 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 blah. And so I am going to stay away perpetually, most likely, from any antibiotic use. I was on doxycycline, Fluclox, and Keflex for over 2 years, trying to amend a skin issue that I was having. It was a very aggressive form of folliculitis. I would get ingrown hairs, and then they would just fester and become these big boily welt things, and they were dark purple. Wasn't staph infections, very different. There was no pussy sort of, I know this is a bit gross, but there was no yellowy sort of thing, and there was no thing that you could pull out. There was no hole afterwards. It was just this big welt thing, and they were all over my legs. It was really fucked up. Little did I know that the antibiotics weren't helping whatsoever. And actually, the biggest hindrance to them getting better was sugar-free Coke consumption. So I was having that a lot, and that was obviously fucking up my microbiome as well. And I know everybody talks about it. They're like, "Oh, you're not going to get cancer from all that sort of stuff." But the only measuring stick of whether something's good for you or not shouldn't be whether it gives you cancer. That's a completely fucking retarded argument. And there's obviously like a healthy amount of sun exposure, and then there's a melanoma level of sun exposure. But it's interesting that sunlight actually kills melanoma. But anyway, just because something doesn't give you cancer doesn't mean it's good for you. There are plenty of things that don't give you cancer that are very bad for you. Meth probably doesn't give you cancer, probably fucking really bad for you, even in small doses, Ritalin and everything else. But yeah, so I discontinued my consumption of that, got off the antibiotics, did a like gut reset sort of thing, and then it completely went away within 6 weeks. And so the perpetuation of it mostly was sugar-free drinks, most notably sugar-free Coke or Coke Zero. I know that might scare a lot of you because you're very happy with your sugar-free Coke consumption, but if you got some fucked up skin, I've used this method with a couple of other guys at the gym that were having like indiscriminate reactions to like haircuts and all that sort of thing, where it wasn't ringworm based, it wasn't fungal, it was something else, and they couldn't figure it out. They went to the doctors. Doctor said take antibiotics because that's the only fucking tool that they have in their toolbox these days. And as soon as I told them stop drinking sugar-free drinks, gone within a couple of days. One of the guys on the back of his neck, literally 2 or 3 days, completely gone. I had a mate of mine, same thing, struggled with psoriasis for about 6 years, couldn't get rid of it. Doctor said there was no cure, blah, blah, blah. Take steroid creams, take immunosuppressants. If you ever suppress your immune system via drugs, you're a fucking moron. Do not take that. There was a horrible, horrible incidence of a teenage girl that had psoriasis. It got really bad. It was super dry on her skin and cracking and flaking and all this stuff. And she ended up on immunosuppressant drugs and steroids at the same time, like the steroid creams and all that. She died because her immune system failed. And it wasn't necessarily a failing of her immune system, it was a failure of the people to take care of her correctly as it regards the treatment specifically. And yes, obviously this is a low likelihood case, but it shows that the fundamentals aren't there in terms of understanding all these things at a root level. They're just trying to mask symptoms, and that's one of the biggest issues in terms of the current industry, is that they don't have a good diagnosis testing for what the root cause actually is. And if you just remove the root cause, then the symptoms can take care of themselves, but all they want to do is treat symptoms. When you go to the doctors and say you have migraines and headaches and all this sort of stuff, maybe it's because you haven't touched grass in a long time. And I'm not joking, because people fucking sit on their screens all day, every day, and they just never get away from harmful UV light, all that sort of stuff. They're certainly not hydrated with electrolytes, and so their brain is screaming for reprieve from screen usage, light exposure, poor light exposure, mind you. Sun exposure is not one of those things. And then they just don't hydrate correctly whatsoever. They drink water, or they deplete their magnesium and all that sort of stuff with coffee, and then they have no reuptake of any of that because they have poor diets and poor hydration strategies. So that's not the topic of today's episode. It's just a thing that I've been fucking dealing with, and hopefully that information helps some of you if you are dealing with shitty skin conditions. And I would probably look at your gut health first and foremost. Fermented foods are a great option. Kimchi, kombucha, kefir. It's interesting that all of them start with K. I only just realized that. But yeah, I want to talk about today, first of all, focus, and then we'll segue into something else that I find particularly interesting. Over this past couple of weeks, I've had so much fucking shit going on. You realize how important that your time and attention actually are in terms of getting shit done. And a lot of you guys that listen to this will resonate with this because life is very busy, and there's always notifications going off on your phone, and there's emails to answer, and there's all this shit that goes on all the time. And if you spread your focus too thin, you'll never get anything done because you feel overwhelmed and you feel submerged underneath this body of digitized attention stealing little gremlins that live within the nightmare rectangle and all the other stuff that's going on in your life, especially if you have kids, especially if you work a crazy job with hectic hours, especially if you're trying to pursue combat sports and all that sort of stuff. And again, I think I mentioned this before in a prior episode, but I used to not really understand why Bezos and all those guys, Zuckerberg, they wear the same outfit all day, every day. And that's because they intimately understood the fact that attention is the most important tool that you have at your disposal. If you can sit down and work on something for 3 hours, non-distracted, without picking up the phone, without delaying anything, without stopping, then you have a superpower. You can start to build things very quickly, and you'll start to realize that you lap the competition very fast because they do not have an ability to be able to do that. Gordon often talks about this in terms of like the mental work versus the physical work, and everybody wants to work physically hard and everybody can do the physical work, and it's actually the easiest component, but no one wants to sit down after training and think about why an armbar works for 2.5 hours. They're just not willing to do it because they don't have the focus, and training is something that takes them out of their daily life, and it's very cathartic and it's very methodical and all that sort of stuff, but then as soon as they're finished, it's back to normal stuff, and you start to see the fork in the road in terms of people who really understand what they're talking about. It's the people that literally lock themselves in a room and figure out how something works, and they don't let themselves out until they do it. I was building a refurb of my landing page the other day, and I got so stuck into it and I needed to finish it. I get really antsy when I don't finish things. Even sometimes detrimentally, I will just forego whatever other responsibilities that I have. If I don't finish the puzzle, it gets really fucking annoying really, really quickly. Building furniture the other day, just once I start, I've got to finish it. And it's probably an autism thing. Probably just a diligence thing, to be fair, because we overprescribe autism in today's day and age, but it's just a funny joke. But anyway, needing to get that done, I completely just went through all of the other things that I was going to do that day. I ended up working 7 or 8 hours straight on this one thing, and it produced massive dividends in terms of conversion rates and all that sort of stuff. And I've learned a lot since then based on what I've made the changes and doing A/B tests and all that sort of shit. But had I considered stopping because I was bored or stopping because I was hungry, which I was, I was definitely fucking hungry, 8-hour stretch, I never would have got it done. I never would have realized the upwards benefit of that. And that just really solidified to me in the first part of this how important genuine focus actually is, and the fact that if you can curate that skill and nurture that skill of genuine depth of focus, then everything you want on the other side of that will be yours. That's just a simple fact. If you don't stop until you understand something, not I'll stop when I get bored, or I'll stop when I get hungry, or I'll stop when I decide that I want to move to a new subject, or a notification comes on my phone and da-da-da-da. I didn't look at my phone once. And this is not like some sort of flex or anything like that. I'm just telling you what happened. And it's pretty rare in today's day and age that someone can put their phone down and just get shit done for 6, 7, 8 hours. And that means that you will be in a group separated from the herd. And that means you will get the disproportionate results from forcing yourself to do these things, and you'll be benefited as a result of that. And I'm talking to one of the kids at the gym, and I said to him, look, do you like your job? And he goes, no, I fucking hate it. Every single morning I wake up, I fucking don't want to go. I said, good. This is motivation for you to do something better. I said to him, why don't you start learning a skill? Don't start to think about like drop shipping and quick, easy, get rich quick schemes, because they're all bullshit. Think about developing a skill. Anybody who's been successful in drop shipping also knew the fundamentals of product development, sales, market fit, copywriting, email marketing. They knew all of these things to be successful. And this is kind of the scam of when you see these people on the internet. They say, well, I turned a store from 0 to 100K in 30 days. And, this is how I did it. It was about this, this, and this. Well, they're fucking blindly lying to you. The fact that all of the complicit or the compartmentalized skills that fit within what they did were sales, copywriting, marketing, product market fit, launch, all that sort of stuff. They build a list, they send interest to that list, they gain traction from the interest to that list, and then they decide to fulfill the product based on the needs of the clients on the list. It's a very easy way to start things. It's quite difficult to get right, and you have to know a lot about marketing and development and all that sort of thing. It's not just the fact that they open a store and money comes out the other side. That's completely incorrect. You see it all the time with people that decide to open up groups and other bits and pieces, and they go, oh, why isn't my group working? I made something and now I'm telling people about it and they're not joining. And it's like, well, okay, how many other people are also making things and telling other people about them en masse, so much so that yours is drowned into irrelevance, basically. You have to recognize that people are very busy in these day and age, and you have to keep fucking reminding them again and again and again and again and again. It's not the fact that you tell somebody twice about something that it's going to be important to them. You have to tell them over hundreds of times because we're completely distracted these days. And so it's very important to recognize that you've got to pick a skill, especially in this kid's example of how I'm trying to mentor him, because he's showing initiative, is actually showing that he's doing things, which is great. I hate people that ask for free advice and then they fucking do nothing with it. And then 6 weeks later, they come back with the same problem, expecting you to fix it for them, of which I will tell them, you're never going to make it if I can't motivate you, or if you can't motivate yourself, rather, I can't motivate you. It's never going to happen. And even in a separate conversation, motivation is completely fucking bullshit. Do you want it or do you not? If you want it, commit to the things that are going to get it for you. If you don't want it, fine, go work at Coles and fuck off. It literally is that simple. I was having this revelation the other day, and I'm thinking about all these Uber Eats drivers and all these people that are just doing low shit jobs, and not to shit on them whatsoever. Everybody needs a job. Everybody needs to be able to do something. But I'm thinking, like, why do you just accept this in your reality? Why do you just cop this? Like, people that say that they're on the internet and they're like, I can't pay my bills and all that sort of stuff. And look, empathy for those people that get themselves into shitty situations where they have 3 kids and they've got all these bills that pile up and they've got a medical accident that happens. Like, there's fucking not really much you can do about that, but there is something you can do about your devotion to skill sets and becoming valuable within a marketplace. And if you don't have any skills, you don't deserve the rewards of having skills. It literally is that fucking simple. If you do not like the way that your life is panning out, like the kid that I'm trying to mentor, do something about it. Don't just fucking whinge and complain and say that it's the economy. I get it. Shit's fucked at the moment. Don't get me wrong. I completely understand the landscape of the macroeconomic forum of the world. I'm very well versed on the subject. Not quite as well versed as a mate of mine. He goes into insane detail and insane depth, but I've learned a lot from him and pieced together a lot of this structure of what we're going in through and why the debt-based system is completely fucked, and it literally just cripples everybody by its own design. But even with all that, there's nothing you can do about it except build yourself into a more valuable version of yourself by offering things to people that they want. It's very simple. The fact of the matter is that yes, if you're offering a delivery service as an Uber Eats driver to somebody, you are fulfilling a need in the marketplace, but it's not a very valuable skill. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry can fucking do that job. It's your job to separate yourself in a field, any field, doesn't matter, and become much more valuable than all the other people that are doing it. To some degree, obviously, there's the expert copywriter in the world who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars per assignment. You're probably not going to get to their stage, but could you make 10 grand doing that? Of course you fucking could. Could you make an extra $500 a week doing that? Absolutely, you fucking could. Anybody that sits there and says, well, the world's such a shit place and it's such a bad environment, you're full of it. You don't even want to try because you know you don't have what it takes, because you won't fucking sit there and just focus for 20 minutes on something without picking up TikTok and fucking scrolling. That's just the fact of the matter. Like, I listened to a podcast with Daniel Priestley during the week. He's an Australian guy, moved to the UK, sold a bunch of successful companies, written a bunch of books. I really love his ethos because it's all about taking responsibility. He goes, there's nothing you can do about the economic situation of the world. There's nothing you can do about stock prices and all this sort of shit. What you can do is learn how to be good at something that you choose. It doesn't matter whether it's phone sales. It doesn't matter whether it's building websites. It doesn't matter whether it's email marketing or generating leads for people, or let's say you go to a boomer business that's the guy who's running it is 65. He has no idea what social media marketing is. Why could you not learn the skill of social media marketing and then start to revolutionize their organic content system so that they can build more leads off the back of organic following, and then build in a new revenue stream as a result of that, or a new lead generation system as a result of that? It's very easy to set up. You just set up automations and then it's done. You charge that guy $2.5 grand, you fucking get on with your business. That's it. And then you use them as a testimonial because you've done good work. Not because you fucking just took their money, but you've done good work. You've proved it. You've proved that you can be a valued asset to their business, and then they are now benefiting as a result of that, and then they give you a testimonial, which is worth more than the money. You use that testimonial to market that to the next business and say, hey, I took X boomer business from this revenue to this revenue in 35 days. Do you want me to do the same thing for you? Okay, fair enough. $2,500, sign the paper. That's it. That's all it is. And it's a very simplistic view of it, but that's literally all you have to do. There are intricacies involved and there are skill sets that you need to learn and things that you need to build. But I'm fucking sick of people whinging and saying that, oh, well, it's so fucking hard. It's so difficult. Yes, it's difficult. It's meant to be. It's meant to be fucking hard. That's the reason you're going to earn it. And that's the reason it's going to be satisfactory when you do the thing. Look, don't get me wrong. There's a bunch of people that are doing it tough. I fucking get it. Let's reiterate that point once more. But if you're a shift worker and you're doing a job that any fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry can do, and you're getting pissed about the fact that you're not getting ahead, that's on you. It's not on your job for not paying you enough. It's not on the economy for not being fucking cheap enough. It's not on the housing crisis. It's not on the fucking cost of living crisis. You can evade these things by becoming better at what you do, just by picking one lane and fucking giving it a go for as long as you can. And okay, fair enough. If it doesn't work out for you, change tact, pivot, go to something else. But I guarantee you it's going to be a lack of your durability than it is the lack of the efficacy of the thing that you choose to do. A lot of people in my life personally, I had some people living with me that were, one person specifically that was an absolute fucking moron and just would flip and flop and change to 17 different things without giving them any time to marinate. You don't plant a plant, water it one day and then dig it up to see how fucking fast it's grown in 24 hours. You plant it, you give it the nutrient-dense soil that it needs, you water it every day for years, and then you see the growth eventually. You don't just get to pick it out of the ground and go, oh, fuck, it's not growing yet. This plant must be defective. That's not how it works. There's that old analogy about the bamboo. It takes like 90 days for it to sprout, and then the next 90 days it grows like 30 feet. It's a great analogy for business. It's fucking fantastic understanding of skill sets in general, let alone business skill sets. It's your ability to be able to sit and do something day in, day out and learn and get better and go through the frustrations and go through the aggravation of not seeing a clear path forwards and then fucking doing it anyway. Do it anyway. Even if you don't see a result coming out of the back end of it, who gives a fuck? You're learning to get better. There was a quote by that Justin Waller guy. He's a redheaded guy that wears suits on Instagram. He's like one of Andrew Tate's friends or whatever. And he goes, work, fail. Okay, cool. Work, fail. What most people see is failure, full stop, do something else. What he elaborates on in the analogy is that every time you fail, you get better. So then it becomes work. You don't get the result, but you get better. Work. You don't get the result, but you get better. Work. More results than you can ever have fucking imagined in your entire life. Bang. Seriously. 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. Commit. And then see what happens. See what happens. I was lackadaisically fucking flopping around for years. Years and years and years. Only until I was about 25 did I start taking shit seriously, taking shit genuinely, actually sticking to something for a long period of time and not looking over the fence and saying, oh, well, what are they doing? What opportunity have they got going on? Is that going to be the thing that like catapults me magically? Because you start to compare yourself to other people, and unfortunately what most people do is they compare the like glowing outside perspective of what do you call it? It's the golden, I forget what I'm trying to say, but this sort of like gleaming reality on the other side of the fence, and you think, fuck, they've just got it all. It must be so easy for them, and da-da-da. A good way to explain it is how people view top-level competitors. They look at people who are the best in the world at their given task, and they think, oh, well, they must never feel nerves. They must never get tired. They must never do this. And trying to like anthropomorphize these qualities into this deity type figure that just doesn't get fazed by anything. And then you recognize when you get to a level where you're competing with these people, and you are one of these people, in my case, you realize that everybody's all human, and these things don't come any easier to anybody at all. It's just your ability to work even in spite of doubt, even in spite of fatigue, even in spite of fear and all these sorts of things. And so it's not that these people have something that you don't, they lack something that you have, which is an ability to stop every time you feel discomfort. You think about like Cam Hanes and Goggins and Cam Hanes' son, whatever his name is. And these guys just continue to fucking run and do all this crazy long endurance shit. It's not that they don't get tired, they do. They just don't give a fuck. It's not that they don't get fatigued or bored or anything like that. They do. It's not that they don't want to do it. It's not that they don't have days of lack of motivation. They do. But they do it anyway. They just get it done anyway. And that's a really key, important part to understand, is that there are going to be more days that suck than there aren't, especially in the beginning. And that's why most people never fucking go through it. They get all excited and they get all motivated and they go, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to do this thing. I'm finally going to have a crack. And like, fucking good on you, because it takes some balls to actually come to the table and say you want to better yourself, say you want to better your life, say you want to change your family's life. And then 10 days in, it's not going how you thought it was, and you quit and you change to something else. If you just do it for 100 days in a row, you may as well keep going by that point, because then you're going to have a sunk cost fallacy. Then you're just going to be like, well, I've been doing it 100 days in a row. I committed to this initial 100 days. What is a year going to look like? Then you further extrapolate that out and think, how good can I get in a decade? How good can you get in 10 years? Fucking really good at something. Unbelievably good. Like all the guys that I talk to that run businesses, they've been doing it for decades and they really haven't fucking stopped. And one thing led into the next and to the next and to the next. You don't have to pick something and then just die on the hill forever. Like a lot of people that I know that are in positions similar to mine, they started in like personal training, then they started in online coaching, then they built like a community thing around it, then they've gone into like product-based businesses out of the back of the community and those sorts of things. And it just kept evolving and growing and changing. And then sometimes when you get to a stage where you feel like you're validated enough to give business advice, then you give business advice, you turn that into a business. And then you start just looking at the world in a different way in terms of problems and solutions. You think, well, I used to suffer from this problem and it really gave me a fucking hard time, and it put the brakes on a lot of my capabilities, and it put the brakes on a lot of my mentality and physicality and all that sort of thing. What if I could alleviate that problem for somebody else? And then you test it and you send it to people, and if it works, great. And then you get reviews, you get feedback, and then you iterate and you change it. And all of this takes resolve, and all of this takes focus, and all of this takes an ability to eat shit a lot of times. Because I remember when I first started, I didn't want anybody to tell me that my thing was shit, because I'd worked what I thought was really hard on it. And the fact of the matter is, I look back 5 years ago and say I didn't fucking work at all on it. I was riding on the fact that other people thought it was good, but I was only making it because I wanted to feel that way, and I didn't have a problem solution based focus. And so when I presented it to people, they're like, oh yeah, it's cool, but I wouldn't use it. You're like, fuck. And then it hits you right deep here and you go, fuck, that sucked. But then you recognize that they weren't actually putting you down. They were giving you valuable feedback for you to improve and iterate your process. And then now you can start to think about it in a different way. Then you skip all that together. Don't make anything in the beginning. Tell people that you're going to make things to solve a specific problem that they may or may not be facing, and then ask them questions about it. Like, let's do it right now. Let's say you want to design some sort of software for people, and you don't know what it's going to be about. So you pick a problem, and it's the fact that, let's say petrol prices. People want to find the cheapest petrol in their price range, in their local area, and they want to compare all of the different places without actually having to go to all of them. And you think about it, you're like, what problem am I actually solving with that? Well, you're saving time and efficiency and money. That's great. A lot of people like time, efficiency, and money. Great, fantastic. So then you say to them, what would it be worth to you for me to be able to save you a ton of time, a ton of efficiency and money? Instead of like searching and looking up and Googling all those things, I could just create a software that would map onto your maps so that it could show you places along your journey, categorize them by price and efficiency, so you could actually choose the one of which you wanted to go to based on those two factors, because which one is more important to you. Me personally, I would prefer the more efficient one. I don't really give a fuck if I save 3 cents a litre. It's kind of irrelevant to me. But somebody else in a different position might not give a fuck about the efficiency because they want to save the money, and that's fair enough. So they could use the app too, or the software as well. And then so you start talking to people and you realize what's important to them, and you think, well, okay, well, there's people that want efficiency, there's people who want price, so I'm going to have to offer both. And then you realize it's completely irrelevant to people what brand they use. So it really doesn't matter to most people. I know some people are very diehard 7-Eleven because they serve their favorite fucking donuts and whatever else, or people are diehard BP because they think BP is better than everybody else. They're fucking not. All comes from the same place. Maybe it doesn't. I probably just made that up, but I think it just comes from the same fucking place. They just slap different labels on it. That's how most things work in today's day and age. It's the illusion of choice, not actually fucking choice. Just like where you park your money in Australia. It's all the same fucking shit, just labeled different colors. And it's just a farce, basically. Same with insurance, same with power, same with all that sort of shit. It's fucking ridiculous. But anyway, we're getting off topic. But then you realize you're actually solving a genuine problem that people would actually want to use. And if you can integrate it as an API into their map system currently, but you could probably charge them the difference that you, like just under the difference that they're making in terms of fuel prices. Obviously, you wouldn't want to pay more than that because then it completely invalidates it. But see how we're thinking through it, and now we're actually designing something that makes sense. If it was, I don't know, $3 a month, how many times do you fill up? You fill up twice a week, once a week, 4 times a week, and then you scale the price range based on that so that you can make sure that customers are pretty happy with the level of service they're getting. I'm probably going to fill up fucking 8 times this month, maybe. I don't know. The RS6 is pretty fucking heavy and it's very fast, and I like the noise it makes when I put my foot down. So I'm going to be filling up more petrol more often. And so for me, if I was like in that range, we categorize it in different structures. So you could go basic, medium, and pro, whatever the fuck you want to call them. The basic one might even be a free option just to get people involved and interested. And then you can start to think about brand deals that would cross-associate to be able to sell things via the traffic of the app so that you can then get, say, like a microfiber cloth or something like that. People give a fuck about their cars. Or you could do car wash deals and all that sort of shit. You can then map that on and find the most efficient or the most cost-effective versions of those things as well. And you can start to just map onto Apple Maps or Waze or Google Maps. I know Google Maps bought Waze, but they're kind of the same thing anyway. But you see how that starts to develop, and you're genuinely solving a problem for somebody that might make their fucking life easier. If you don't think like that, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to justify being annoyed at the position that you're in because you're not that useful to people. And I'm not saying you as a person, I'm just saying you as an entity in terms of like your business prowess or your skill set, so that you get the results of where you are because you deserve to be there. And a lot of people don't like hearing this, but that's just the way that it fucking works. And until you get over that, you'll never change. I was like that. I was like that for a very long period of time. I thought the world was a horrible place, and if you were lucky or a drug dealer, you would escalate the echelons of fucking life. But if you weren't those two things, and if you weren't born into a family with shitloads of money, like a lot of my school friends were, and I had to go to their houses and look at all the nice shit and think, fuck, this must be nice, hey, and go back to my own shit home and fucking, fucking rubbish everywhere, fucking ants, blah, blah, blah. But you get very disheartened with the world when you think about it like that, because all of your power and your focus is going to something you can't control. What the fuck's the point of that? You shouldn't be giving focus to anything that you can't control because it just leaves you feeling powerless. And if you want to feel powerless, by all means, keep doing the same shit. But if you want to feel powerful, take your actions into your own hands, the results of those actions into your own hands, and actually start doing something about it. I'll bring up 2 conversations. One I'll read and one I'll recount. Don't slap the microphone. Good mate of mine. I won't say who it is because I wouldn't want to fucking shit on him on a podcast that's going to go out to tens of people. Good mate of mine. Going through some shit. Rough fucking existence the past half decade to a decade. And I'm talking to him about all these different opportunities and all these different ideas. And he knows that he wants to do something special. And he just keeps putting fucking fences in the way from actually ever doing anything. And it's really frustrating and really annoying because I know how simple it is. It's not easy. You have to be a certain type of person, not a genetic makeup, not a fucking hereditary bullshit. Like as soon as you read epigenetics, anything about epigenetics, you change your complete worldview all at once. You can change the physiology and the morphology and the psychology of everything that exists within you just by thinking differently. And if you don't believe that, fine. But it's true and it's provable with studies. Not that we need proof of this, because you could see people literally transform themselves in front of your own eyes in a very short period of time. You've seen it because you know people around you that have done that. Kids from high school that were in the same year as you, grew up in the same circumstances, did the same shit, have gone like this, and you have gone like this. And that's just literally you can't excuse them for anything because they come from shit families and they come from shit upbringings and their circumstances weren't as good as yours, and then they just and you just and so what's the differentiator? They decided they wanted to do something about their shitty circumstance. They fucking followed through with it, and that's all it really was. And yes, of course, there's some weighting to the ideology that your interests choose you, and you're predisposed to certain things based on like your upbringing and the way that you've been in the world for most of the years. Like there's a predisposition to say that entrepreneurs are usually people who had rocky upbringings because they love that tumultuous, chaotic, turbulent lifestyle. Because it feels home to them, because it always was chaotic, tumultuous, and turbulent within their upbringing. And so they find some sort of safety net within that. Whereas people who grew up in a very nice, normal, regular existence where their parents didn't smack them or yell at them, must be nice. I'm kidding. I fucking love where I'm at. But you see these people and they're more than willing and happy to just go into a job and punch numbers and 9 to 5. And as soon as 5 o'clock hits, they stop thinking about work forever. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everybody has to be an entrepreneur. I'm just saying that you fucking have to do something that's worth something to somebody so that they give you money for it, especially if you're disgruntled or disheartened with the fact that you're not where you want to be in life. And again, it's not about being a millionaire. It's not about fucking wearing nice watches, driving nice cars, living in fucking $50 million houses. It's about not having stress and strain on your existence every single day you wake up where you feel like you're going to have a fucking heart attack because you don't know where your next meal is going to come from. I know that's a grandiose, possibly even a hyperbolic example, but most people aren't in a position to do the really good things that they want to do. Like 95% of people don't have the ability to take themselves on a holiday whenever the fuck they please. You don't want to drive. You can't drive the car you want. You had to get the one you could afford. And so there's this disconnect between your spirit and the things that you deem that are important to you, not even in a materialistic sense, but doing the things that you want to do, living in the place you want to live in. I know so many families that have had to move suburbs to cheaper areas because they just simply can't afford to live in the nice area that they want to live in. And now everything around them has this shrouding of this dark cloud where they see themselves as a failure, and they're living in worse and worse neighborhoods, and they have to look around at all the other worse shit that comes with living in a worse neighborhood, and so on and so forth. And I was even having this conversation with my missus. We just moved out. I talked about it at the start of the episode. And I didn't want to live in the price range that she was talking about. And I can more than afford where I'm living currently. And it's not even a big deal to me because I fucking take this shit seriously and I want to impact as many people as humanly possible. That comes with certain benefits. Being a genuine use to a lot of people that solve specific problems they're coming up against where they'd rather part ways with their money, and you get to part them with their frustrations and their lack of results and their lack of tangible gain in their own existence. You can help them get to that. Well, then that's a fair exchange, in my opinion. And that's how business works. You give them something that they couldn't give to themselves and they trade you money for it. That's literally all it is. It's not a scam. It's not bullshit. It's not anything like that. Yes, of course, people skirt the lines between scams and bullshit, and they fucking steal things, and they don't deliver what they said they were going to deliver on. But most good people do. Most good businesses do. And I didn't want to live in a fucking shitty area just because she thought it was too expensive to be where we're at now. And I just told her, like, look, this is not the case. I want to live in a fucking nice house. I want to live in a nice area because I know how important it is epigenetically, psychosocially, to wake up in the morning, be in a nice place, be in a fucking house that you want to be in, that I've never had the opportunity to give myself before up until this point, where you don't have to choose something that fits just because it's in a certain range. You choose something that you want, and that's fucking powerful. I really genuinely hope listening to this podcast fires you the fuck up to be able to deliver that to yourself, because it's fucking incredible. And it's not luck. It's fucking not luck. It's got nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing to do with that. It's not hereditary. It's not something you can't do. You can do it. You're just telling yourself you're not. You're not that person, or you can't do it, or this isn't for me. Bullshit. I fucking challenge you to change that narrative in your mind, because I know you can. I know you can. I'm not going to give you some fucking sob story about all this bullshit. I've seen it in more examples than me. I've seen it in 10 times more examples, and it took a long time. I was driving home from a dinner, and it was a lovely, lovely dinner in Newtown in Sydney's southwest or northwest, whatever the fuck it is. near the city somewhere. Inner West, I think they call Newtown. I think so. Anyway, driving home from a lovely dinner, I had this weird premonition of a thought, and it just hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. And I was thinking about like doing something that would put me in the conversation of becoming a millionaire one day. That's what I was thinking about. It just came into my head. And I've had this thought since I was like 16. And I just started rattling off names of people that I knew had earned that much money. Personally, in a one-to-one capacity, not over fucking Instagram and not every dickhead that has a Lamborghini on Instagram. People that I genuinely know in person, that we know each other on a first name basis. If I run into them at shops, I say, hi, how you doing? That sort of basis. I listed 23 or 24 names. I can't remember what it was, but 23 or 24 of people that I've like met in that capacity. And I was like, I looked at all of the names and I looked at all the people and I looked at all the different upbringings and the crazy things that they're doing. And one sells fucking model trains and one sells gut health supplements and one sells trading training and all that sort of stuff. And I just looked at all of it. One is a developer, one's a construction worker, one needs real estate and all this sort of shit. One's a lawyer. And I was like, fuck. So many different varied paths, but they're all very good at what they do. And they all worked extremely hard and they all piggybacked off each experience that they had in terms of failures and then built something that was a success, and they continue to do it. And there's no end point. There's no stopping. There's no like, I build it, it's successful, then I stop and drink fucking Mai Tais on the beach. That didn't exist, and it wasn't common within any of them. Certain characteristics and behaviors and traits were all present within each of them. And I thought, why the fuck can't I be number 24 or number 25 based on the number? And then I decided that day and then on, I was going to be number whatever the fuck, 24 or 25. And that decision just kind of eased my angst towards not making it or anything like that, because I didn't set a timeline or anything like that. I just said to myself, I was going to get fucking genuinely serious about this. And I don't care how I have to put myself in the conversation or how I have to buy my way into certain mentorship or any of that. I don't care how long it's going to take or what skills I need to build. I'm going to fucking do it because I think it's important. And then I listened to a Jim Rohn podcast, possibly beforehand or maybe even after this. And he said that his mentor said to him, his mentor was Zig Ziglar. He's a phenomenal motivational speaker and lifestyle coach and all that sort of stuff. And these were when these guys actually genuinely gave a fuck about getting people better, not these dork influencers on Instagram. And he said, set the goal of becoming a millionaire, Jim. And he goes, wow, what would I do with $1 million? He goes, it's not about the money. It's about who you would become in the pursuit of that. And he goes, oh, okay, that sounds like a really worthwhile pursuit. And so he did, and he became one at like 26. And I think he lost it all at 30, and then he made it all back again at 33. And he goes, what I recognized in losing all of it was that I had built the skills to be able to replenish it because I'd already done it before and I'd proven to myself that I can do it. And for you guys, minimize it. Take it all the way down to making an extra $100 a week. That's where I started. Literally, I started at a point where I was like, if I could just pay for my food for the week on the internet, I'd be pretty fucking happy. And I did within like 3 weeks. And I was like, sick. Let's go to the next one now. Like if I could pay for my food and my rent on the internet, I'd be pretty fucking happy. That'd be sick. Then it became, if I can replace my job, I'd be unbelievably happy because then my fucking time would be my own. How good would that be? And it was these little incremental steps that changed everything. And it wasn't, how do I buy a Lambo at the start? Because then you'll be immediately disheartened because you look at how much fucking Lambo prices are in Australia and then you look back to where you're at. There's a mountainous difference. And you go, fuck that, I'm not even going to try because there's no way I can ever do that. Well, not with that attitude. And secondly, you're just setting the bar way too fucking... Have that as like the aim that you want at the end of 5 years, by all means. But set the daily task or the weekly task or the monthly task of like, you know what? If I could just pay for all my coffees during the week... Matter of fact, the question you should be asking yourself, how could I subsidize all my coffees during the week by earning something online? That's it. How could I subsidize my food bill? Most people's food bill per week, $250, $350, $450, depending on if you have a big family or not. Somewhere in the nature of that. Minimum $200. if you're eating properly, if you're not eating fucking frozen pizzas every day. That's another topic of conversation for another episode. But $250 a week, not a lot of money. It really isn't. And you should recognize that because it fucking goes quick. But then you think about it, you go, okay, it's not a lot. Well, then what would I have to do? Like, how would I break that down? Will I sell 2 things for $125 each, or do I sell 5 things for $50 each, or do I sell 100 things for $2.50, or do I sell 10 for 25? And then you just break it down and go through the math, and you're like, all right, well, maybe it sounds a little bit easier to sell 2 for 125. Like, what could I create that's useful to people that they'd be willing to pay $125 for? Go and ask your friends, go and ask your family, what current situation are you dealing with that you don't know how to fix? And they'll tell you, they'll tell you that, well, I don't fucking have anybody to mow my lawns. And you think about it, you're like, oh, $125 for mowing lawns, probably not. I could sell $125 a month, maybe, to mow someone's lawns, or, you know, maybe I could charge a lawn mowing company $125 to generate leads for them, and then I could go around and round up all the people that would be interested in that, and I'd go do the legwork and all that sort of stuff, knock on doors, get told to get fuck off 1,000 times, get 2 sales, and then I made my $250. But once you prove to yourself you can do it, then you're doing it. You're getting to a stage where you prove to yourself you can. And this is where the frustration comes from with a lot of the people that I'm still friends with, is that I know they can. I know they've got big passions and big desires, and I know they'd be doing things differently if they just pulled their finger out for a little bit and just convince themselves that they could do it. I'll get into this one now. And this kid sent me a fucking bunch of questions, and he always responds to my Q&As. And he said to me yesterday, what if I found the limit on my potential? I'm not happy with it. I absolutely fucking detest even the premise of this question, because this kid's intelligent. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. But he's feeding me bullshit to justify his lack of conviction in chasing the thing that he wants to do by externalizing it to some bullshit triviality like potential. You know who worries about potential? Fucking idiots. Do you think anybody who's running a successful company right now, to any degree, whether they make 100 grand a year or a month or a week or a day, it's successful for them? There's 2 different categories of business. There's lifestyle businesses, performance businesses. Lifestyle businesses, you can take care of all your bills, and, you know, you run like a $1 to $5 million company, and you fucking have heaps of fun. You got a couple of your mates working for you. The performance ones are like 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, 5,000 people, and they do, you know, 8 figures, 9 figures, 10 figures, whatever. You know, you could be very happy earning $100,000 a year just off a lifestyle business where it's just you and a mate. I've done it. It's pretty fucking fun. But no one in that realm is ever concerned with their potential. They just get busy solving people's problems, doing shit for them, so much so that they discount the idea of potential. Like, you fucking sit there and you look at a kid and you think, what's your potential? They're 3 years of age. You don't fucking know. They don't know. No one around you can possibly tell you. Lionel Messi, at 9 years of age, went to, Real Madrid? Barcelona? I don't remember. Soccer fans are going to fucking crucify me for that. I'm not the biggest soccer fan. But he got told he would never make it because he had a pituitary gland issue that stopped his growth hormone production through his brain endogenously. And then they got him the shots, and then he became the best soccer player of all time. What was his potential? His potential was being a fucking farmer wherever he came from because he was too small to play soccer. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a frivolous idea, such a fucking stupid concept. It really makes me angry. It really pisses me off. People are like, oh, I don't have the potential for that. Fuck you. How about make the potential? How about that? So anyway, I answered. I said, spoiler alert, you haven't found your potential. Anyone even remotely concerned with the idea of potential, quotations, is a perpetual planner who delays action constantly. You should be so busy chasing what it is you want to create / what you want to be or who you want to become that you cannot even spare a moment to look up and consider your potential. In my late teens, I was an absolute moron, squandering my obvious talent by choosing quick fixes and dopamine hits over genuine work and consistency. True story. Stuck in a mental loop of possibilities. Like, what's my possibility? Fucking stupid question. I've now completely changed that only by disregarding intangibles and prioritizing action. Had I considered my potential, in quotations, I'd still be in the same place that I was. And I genuinely fucking mean every word I just said. So he responded, okay, I appreciate the answer, full stop, sarcasm. I understand, but there's something more complicated than that. I guarantee you there fucking isn't, but we'll read it anyway. There is a quantitative scale of intelligence. There is a number of which your mental capabilities reach. One that can be compared. Exams are one of them, at least in the way that matters in my case. I have given everything in my power to achieve being the best in university, although I have to reach what is considered excellence. It's not enough. In my field of work, only a few can be at the top. Excellence might not be enough. I don't know if I will, even though I'll do everything in my power to do it. That's the question. How does someone live with that? And obviously the tone of voice that I was reading in that would force the viewer to understand that I think he's taking the piss. Because I do. I genuinely do. Somebody who's genuinely intelligent like this, fucking excusing themselves from hard work because it might not work out. Shut the fuck up. Honestly, pull your finger out and keep going, because you're never going to know how far you can go until you've done it. And if you fail, in quotations, the only reason you fail is because you give up. If you get to the end of the road, metaphorically, because there is no end of the road until you die, you will be a better person for the pursuit of that, and it will give you so many skills that you didn't know were so influential and so important to your next chapter of your existence that you would kick yourself for not trying harder and still failing, because it will give you everything that you were after as soon as you make one simple change or one simple pivot. You're only one change away. Think about it like this. You're only one action away from a completely different existence. If you think about the possibilities and all of the calculations on different actions and so on and so forth, and the way that it can manipulate your life in an unbelievable manner. Let's put it like that. When you knock one domino over and then the chain reaction just goes all the way there. It's the butterfly effect is what I'm searching for. You meet one person once, they completely change your existence. You're only one step away. I really, really believe that. I genuinely believe that. You're only one garage session away from becoming world-class at a fucking skill you'd never heard of before. You know how I know that? I fucking did it. That's not to toot my own horn. I literally don't sit here and think I'm better than anybody else. It is amazing to me that that's happened in front of my own eyes, but I still had to have the grit and the tenacity and the focus and the attention to fucking do the work in between those two things. And it would have been very easy to discount it and go, oh yeah, that was fun, but not for me. You're only one step away. You really genuinely are only one step away from changing your entire existence. And I fucking fundamentally believe that. Hopefully you share that belief now, because I've told you. I said to him, it really isn't that complicated. You're trying to justify feeling like you're not going to make it and excusing yourself before you actually try. Don't tell me, even though I'll do everything. Those words are useless. Show yourself you will. This has nothing to do with external circumstances, requirements, or difficulties of pursuits. You're mentally castrating yourself by trying to predict the future. Come to terms with that and get on with it anyway. You can't be sure, you never will be. Either take the leap and do what's necessary, knowing it could possibly fail and doing it anyway, or quit and lead a life of what if and mediocrity. And I think that actually broke in for him. I think he actually started to take that a little bit seriously. I don't know if he will. I honestly don't know. It is my genuine hope that he reads that and goes, fuck, maybe I am taking the piss. Because you are. Everybody knows they can do more. Everybody knows they can be better. I know that I can do more. I know that I can be better. I know that I have shortcomings and pitfalls, and they fucking live with me every single day. And I actively work day and night. Each day that I get up, how am I going to be better today? What am I going to do for other people? Like, how am I going to be 1% better? How do I push my career forward, my business forward, my mindset forward? How do I change the way I think? How do I build into becoming a better person so that in 5 years' time, I look back at the 28-year-old version of me and go, that cunt was a fucking idiot. Great, that's what I want. Fantastic. I look at me at 23, and I go, what a dickhead. And then I look at me at 18, I go, oh my God, fuck, massive spastic, huge, idiot. But that's what you should be endeavoring to do, and the path that you should be going down. It won't be obvious daily, it won't be obvious weekly or monthly or maybe even yearly, maybe even a 12-month span. But in 5 years, absolutely. And that is the key to the kingdom, because then you'll recognize it's going to take 5 years. But holy shit, can you get a lot done in 5 years? And what if you just actually committed? What if you just genuinely showed some resolve? What if you just grit your fucking teeth and worked through it? What if? Because the land of possibilities exists, and everything is possible. And everybody says, oh, it's impossible, but it's only impossible until someone does it. You could take yourself from wherever you are now to wherever you want to be in a 5-year period. I've seen it. I can fucking guarantee that it happens. And for me, when I was growing up younger, I didn't really know anybody that had done anything that I wanted to do. I had no good role models around me. And I thought, well, I'll just fucking be one of these people, At least I'll go to the gym and I'll be strong and whatever. And then just by making that decision and becoming strong physically, I decided to start reading books and then listening to tapes of motivational individuals and podcasts like this from people who are much more successful than me, listening to all these guys and the way that they coach people into certain things and fire them up a little bit, change their mindset and manipulate the way that they see the world. And then slowly but surely over time, I started to think differently. And then I started to take on more information and change the way that I acted, and then read books and do nothing with them and leave them on the shelf, just like this. Fucking do absolutely nothing with it. I read about 50 books in a year once, and it just never took me anywhere because I never applied. I was so busy on doing the one book a week that I failed to do, actually. Because I was so worried about the outcome and not actually about learning anything. I was like, fuck, if I read 52 books in a year, that'd be pretty cool. I could say that to people. People think I'm smart. No, you dumb cunt. Read one book 52 times and then actually apply the information, and you'd be 10 times smarter than what people think you are, because no one's thinking of you anyway. That's one of the most important factors to recognize. People thought, oh, look, I'd post on social media, but then people would think I'm fucking stupid. A, they're not thinking of you. B, even if they think you're stupid, it's none of your business. And C, they're going to think you're pretty fucking stupid for not trying based on the fact that they thought you were going to be some type of way or whatever. I hear it all the time. They're like, how are you so comfortable in front of camera? And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't give a fuck about what anybody thinks. Like, it's nice to receive praise sometimes, but you don't rest on it, because then that's a fucking waste of your time. You literally can't tell. I was looking through some videos today. I analyze my videos very often and decide which ones are working and which ones aren't, and how I can change my writing to become better and communicate in a way that serves the purpose that people get better from watching the videos and change the way they think, change the way they feel, change the way they operate. And I looked at all of them and I was like, I really couldn't give a fuck about the views, hey. Like, I used to really hang on whether a video did well or not. I get down about it if it didn't do well because I put effort into it. But that's not the point. Your career doesn't hinge on a single act. Your career hinges on a body of work. Your life hinges on a lifetime of work. And the cool thing about life is that you're all in anyway. I was thinking about this last night before I went to bed. Since you were born, you've been dying slowly. Morbid? Possibly. Accurate? Yes. You're in entropy. You are dying and withering away every day that you exist. Slowly. Even the matter of your cells completely changing every 7 years. So you're a brand new person, even if you think of it or not. And Alan Watts talks about this. I was listening to one of his lectures during the week, and even though the whirlpool has water going through it constantly, it's always new water. And even though the river constantly flows, it's always brand new water flowing. And so you look at those two things and think that they are constants. They're not. They're always in flux. They're always changing, always growing. Always brand new. So that's the way that you can think of yourself. Because in the span of this conversation, I've had millions of cells die, and I've had millions of cells regenerate. And so you thinking that you're some type of way or some type of person, and the fact that you could never, I had conversation with a mate of mine yesterday about one of our mutual friends, and I only know him through him, but I'm friends with the other guy too. And he goes, well, I'm just the unluckiest guy in the world. And he's convinced all his fucking mates that he's the most unlucky guy on earth. And he just uses that narrative to justify all of the shitty decisions that he makes, and then excuses himself from changing his shitty decision-making criteria to say that, oh, I'm just unlucky. And genuinely, if you listen to his stories, you might start to empathize with him and think, yeah, you've had some bad luck. But everybody has. Everybody's had good luck. Everybody has bad luck. It's what you choose to fucking define yourself and based on what you focus on. And if you focus on the fact that you're the luckiest person on earth, which was my rebuttal to one of the guys who was in the conversation, I said, I'm the luckiest person on earth. It's got to be somebody, so why can't it be me? I've had a lot of shit happen in my life that I didn't expect. And I've fostered the skill sets of work ethic and focus and all these other different things we've been talking about in this conversation, and turned my life into a pretty fucking good one where I wake up every day ready to go. And I genuinely do. I wake up every morning. I do this weird thing. I'll show you. I wake up every morning. I sit on the bed, on the edge of the bed. I go, I do this fucking sun thing. I don't know where I came up with this, but I do it, and it like sets me into my day. And I go, fucking what a good day today. I've already pre-decided. I've conditioned myself to believe that today is going to be a good day. You know how many bad days I've had recently? Fucking none. They're coming. Don't get me wrong. They're coming. Everybody's going to have a bad day. But why the fuck are you having it in advance? Why are you preconditioning yourself to say, I'm going to have a bad day today? I just know it. Why are you preconditioning yourself to say, I'm unlucky? I just know it. Why? Because you know that becomes true for you because you're deciding that in advance. Well, I'm just unlucky. There was a phenomenal analogy. I believe it was a study that they actually conducted, but my first business mentor, Mark, told it to me. He goes, in New York City, they were doing a study between two different types of people. Those who predicted that they were lucky individuals, or those who said that they were lucky, and those who said they were unlucky. And there was 50 people in each. In those two groups, randomized, double blind, they put them into taxi cabs in New York, drove them to a very specific place where there would be $1 planted on the, I guess the Americans call it sidewalk, the footpath, planted on the ground right in front of where the taxi would stop. And they would open the door, and they would either see it or they wouldn't. In the conclusion of the study, they wrote that even though the subjects were mixed and changed and everything else, 100% of the lucky people found the money, 100% of the unlucky people, were defined as unlucky, self-prescribed, didn't see it. It was there every single time. All 100 times they dropped someone off, it was there. So what's the difference? The people who define themselves as lucky automatically assumed that that would happen to them, so their brain actually perceived it as important enough to show them that they were lucky by finding $1. The people who were unlucky didn't even conceive of the reality that they would have fortune bestowed upon them because they'd already defined themselves as unlucky. Their brain didn't even think to communicate that message to them. Because again, we've talked about it many times, your brain is an information deletion device. It deletes all the things it thinks aren't important because you can't focus on everything at once. And your autonomic functions or your unconscious functions, including the way that you think about things, are all taken care of for you, but they're constantly deleting things out of your vision. Same thing. When you buy a car, you see it everywhere. You buy some cars, you see it everywhere. I bought mine recently and I fucking haven't seen any. It's been fucking lovely. But you buy a very common car and you start seeing them everywhere. Actually, mind you, I'll take that back. I lie. The manufacturer of my car I've been seeing all over the fucking place. I didn't see as many Audis until I've bought one, and now I can see them fucking everywhere. But that's because my reticular activating system in my unconscious mind is telling me that that is important to me now. Whereas when I was driving a Mercedes, I'd see Mercedes all over the place because I would fucking tell myself that that was important. Obviously, I've got to find my car in a parking lot. I've got to fucking remap that in my brain to make sure that I tell myself it's important. It's the same distinction between my ability to recall phone numbers. 0419670222 was my previous phone number. Don't try calling it. It's not mine anymore. Fuck off. But I can remember that off the bat because I told myself it was so important. I have all of my credit cards memorized by number, with date, and expire, and the CVV thing on the back. I don't remember any of the previous ones that I had because I've deleted that out of my brain because I told myself that it's not important anymore. I've told myself that most of my other phone numbers aren't important, but for some reason the phone number thing sticks. But I can't remember any new numbers. I know 0430836901 and then 902 are my siblings' past numbers because they signed up for a plan at the same time, and one of them got 901 and one of them got 902. And I remember those because they were really fucking important for a long period of time because we didn't have the ability to store numbers in our phones. You had to know them off by heart. And if you went to a friend's house, you'd have to use your number to call them if something happened. And although that's not very important to me now, it was at a time in my life was of supreme importance, and I still remembered it. But your brain doesn't. Your brain has a certain proclivity to deletions of things that you don't deem that important anymore. In some aspects, obviously, I'm kind of fighting my own argument here. I realize that. But for the most other parts, like you don't remember what you had for breakfast three and a half weeks ago on a Tuesday morning because it's not important to you. It was important at the time because it's calories for you to survive, but something that you were stressing over 8 years ago doesn't exist anymore, and it's your brain's just deleted it completely until you receive the cue of a very similar situation, and then that jostles your memory because now you've deemed that it's important again. You start to sift through the catalog of your mind, but you wouldn't bring it up unless you got the cue. And so it's important to recognize the way that you label yourself and the way that you decide things for yourself in preconditioning yourself is very important. Don't be one of those guys that says, I'm not this type of person, or I'm unlucky, or blah, 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 because you'll never fucking go anywhere if you do that, because you're already exiting your horse from the race just by the fact of using your words incorrectly, using your actions that follow those words incorrectly. So it's important to think about that sort of stuff. And I think this kid that I was talking to has already decided that he's met the upper limit of his potential, and it doesn't even fucking exist. Potential doesn't exist. Like, potential kinetic energy exists, but that's you walking from one side of the room to the other. Potential for you as a human being, unlimited, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe you've had a rough go at it. Maybe you believe that your potential is working at fucking Subway. I disagree. Somebody has to. Granted. But you've only got to work there for your shift. And as soon as your shift ends, you've got upward mobility to do whatever the fuck you want. Make a faceless Instagram and start churning money from that. It doesn't matter what you do. Start collecting cans. Yes, it's a very low yield, but it's something. It is something. Go on Marketplace, get free shit, dress it up, sell it. It's something. You are exactly where you deserve to be based on how you see your current situation. If you don't like that, you must change. Not the world. The world's not going to come save you. Your fucking uncle's not going to come save you. I'm not going to come save you. It's not going to happen. Very busy. Got shit on. I can't fucking help you more than you want to be helped. If you want to be helped and you show me that you have conviction, I'll fucking help you. I will. I think it's important. I think it's important to help other people up the ladder behind you that are going through similar situations. Just like I'm talking about mentoring this kid at my gym. But you can't rely on others. They can help you and guide you in certain parameters and steer you away from the trees so you don't crash and burn. But even if you do, you were meant to because you needed the lesson for it anyway, even with the help. Just because you hire a mentor doesn't mean the results are guaranteed. Like, plenty of people jump in the mentorships that I do don't have the success or the results because they think that the guy who's running the thing is going to help them with everything and redesign their whole life for them. It's just not the way that it works. I just really like puzzles a lot. And then when they show me the pieces, I put them all together and I go, fuck yeah, let's do that again. I just keep running and ripping. That's all it is. It all comes down to. But anyway, hopefully that has lit a candle underneath some of you. I genuinely do hope that. I hope that you listen to something like this and go, fuck, maybe the big talking head is making some points that I hadn't considered yet. And I do need to really kick my ass into gear. And if you don't know what it is you're going to pursue, it doesn't matter. Just do something. Find anything. Just start fucking whittling or archery or basket weaving. Who gives a fuck? Do something. So many people just do nothing with themselves all day, every day, and it fucking pisses me off. It does. It genuinely does, because I know how good life can be on the other side of that. I live it every day. And it's not to brag. It's not to make you feel shit. It's designed for you to listen and go, if this fucking retard who sits every Friday afternoon to himself and yaps in a microphone for tens of people to listen to can do it, I can fucking do it too. Like, trust me, I'm not fucking special. I'm not. Refuse to believe it. I just believe in focus, determination, bit of cunt, bit of grit, consistency. Set the target at a 5-year target and do whatever it takes. You'll be there. Guarantee it. 100% guaranteed. I'll see you in 5 years when you prove me right.